Today's topic, Net Neutrality Explained. And as always, if you stay till the end of the video, we will be giving you the link to a spot where you can download a free PDF document that lists everyone's, where you live, your state, and exactly who your congressmen are in the state and the House and their contact information. So that way, whether you are for net neutrality or against it, you can contact them as easy as sending them a letter or sending them an email. So make sure you stay till the end so you can download that free PDF. Today we're going to explain what net neutrality is, and we're going to put it in simple terms so that even if you have no idea what net neutrality laws are, what the repeal means, what the FCC is, we're going to put it in simple terms that you can understand. So first thing you need to know is, what is net neutrality? Net neutrality is pretty much freedom across the internet. It is equality on the internet, which means that a small guy and a big guy, whether it's a website, an app, a company, content, whatever it is, a news article, they are equal in terms of being accessible. So not equal in search rank. That's something totally different. So like you might be able to find the big guys, let's say CNN's article on net neutrality, way easier than you'll find blog ABC, average Joe ABC's blog on net neutrality, just because they have more authority in search ranks. That's not what we're talking about. What we are talking about is your actual ability to find them, literally, like to be able to read them. So net neutrality means that you have equal access to read CNN's article as you do average Joe's. So if you are, whether that's left wing or right wing, or if it's written in English or not in English, or if it's something that your internet provider agrees with politically or financially, or they don't agree with it. And the reason this is so important is because social media, the internet, is the largest freedom of speech platform ever that has ever existed in the history of freaking humanity, okay? So what net neutrality does is it protects everyone's voice on the internet. So the net neutrality laws were passed in 2015 by the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission. So what that means is they passed laws in 2015 that said everyone has to remain equal, that internet service providers cannot block certain content. They can't charge more for you to see this versus this. They can't give special privileges to Netflix versus Hulu. That no matter what the consumer wants to read, watch, or see, they have equal access to all of those things. Now, the argument is right now that, oh, well, that's not actually going to happen. They're just going to be doing this so that way they can use more capital to invest in expanding their reach, because the farmers down the road don't have that good of internet. It's really slow. It buffers all the time. This is going to provide them the capital they need to expand the internet, which is a good thing. And yes, I see that point, but the problem is does the end justify the means? So what happened is they repealed those laws that they created in 2015, which means that the internet is now up for grabs for internet service providers. These companies, the thing that this law repealing affects the most is internet service providers like Verizon Wireless, Comcast, Sprint, Arvig, stuff like that. That if whoever provides provides your home the internet, they can now have the choice to say, well, I don't want you to read Fox News versus CNN, or I do want you to look at this video versus this video, because I want you to see these news articles based on my competitor doing bad, but when my competitor is doing good, I want to block those articles and that news broadcast. So why are they allowing this if it kind of sounds like it's infringing on freedom of speech? Well, because it's technically a regulation, and what regulations were created for is to block monopolies. So when you are regulating an industry, so like a heavily regulated industry is like the banking system. So the banking system was their regulations were way increased in 2008 when the housing market crashed, because they were giving out loans too easily to anyone who maybe couldn't even afford them. The market crashed. We went into a small depression, or it's known as the Great Recession, right? And from that time, we created regulations, committees, laws preventing banks from being too overly ambitious in giving out money to people who might not be able to pay it back. So that protects people who have investments and savings and houses, on the market. So what that means is, so the regulations there are like a good thing, right? You don't want over regulations, because then it prevents things like entrepreneurship, capitalism, innovation, studying, people coming up with the next big thing. So there's pros and cons to having regulations. But when you are regulating freedom of speech, that's not necessarily something that's going to prevent a monopoly. It's preventing monopolies per se, but it is granting people a voice. And when you start regulating things like someone's voice, someone's opinion, that, in my opinion, is wrong. So who knows? Maybe this will get regulated. This will get shut down by your internet service provider, because I am speaking out against net neutrality. Now, no matter what your opinion is, because I see both sides of the spectrum. I'm a businessman, an entrepreneur, so I see the benefits of repealing government influence and government restrictions. But I also, from an internet, a user, from someone who uses the internet, whose companies are built on creating apps and softwares and social media, which is what my primary company, Online Growth Systems, does. When we are being restricted like that, when we're being limited, we're being physically blocked from being seen by consumers. That is going to affect my personal business big time. It's going to affect your ability to see this video. It's going to affect your ability to read the articles you want, hear the news you want. It's going to affect your ability to choose the services that you want to watch. Let's say that your internet provider made a deal with Sprint, or let's say your internet provider is Sprint. They made a deal with Netflix so that Netflix gets streamed easily. So that means if you used to use Hulu is going to be crap now, because they made a deal with Netflix to give them preference. So now Hulu will be crappy and Netflix will be great streaming. But if you are a Netflix user and you're with Verizon Wireless is going to give preference to anything that's under Yahoo, because they own Yahoo. They are going to give, let's say that you used to use Google and you're with Verizon, that's going to be way harder, way slower, way restricted. You'll have to pay more money to use Google versus Yahoo, because Verizon owns Yahoo. They obviously will do less restrictions, less cost. They'll make it faster, easier for you to use their own product. So that's where the controversy is coming in. So I hope that we answered your questions in what net neutrality is, and Net Neutrality Explained simply for you. If you have any questions, first thing you can do is check out the comments below. I'm sure people will be responding back and forth about what's going on. But our biggest resource is, we'll have a playlist down in the link below of other videos in this series. We're making a whole video series on net neutrality. So make sure you smack that subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you can be made alert when these news updates are happening in real time. So thanks for watching, and I hope that you got your questions answered, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, why hello there. I was just contemplating how good Dick Polipnick's YouTube channel was, and I was also contemplating how good his online ebook, Social Media Marketing, How to Make Your First $10,000 on Social Media, is just the best book I've ever read.